Good evening, everybody, and welcome to JLive. I'm Joey Barron, the Artistic Director for the Jewish Arts Collaborative, and it's, like always, great to be with you tonight. JLive is our series of virtual cultural experiences that bring us together to explore and celebrate the diverse world of Jewish art, culture, and creative expression. We're bringing you bite-sized conversations with the best area talent. And tonight is no exception. Our special guest tonight is Yoni Battat. Yoni plays viola and oud and is quite a talented writer. In fact, he wrote the song that we heard coming in, Seven Shekel Swing, that began tonight's show. As always, if you have questions during our conversation, please share them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we'll ask as many questions as time allows. So with no further ado, welcome, Yoni.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
Yoni, I've always been impressed by your versatility and how many different musical styles you're comfortable in. And I'm wondering, where did all this multicultural interest come from?
Wow. So I grew up with a love for music that was very much inspired by my dad. Very eclectic taste. On the Israeli radio, you always hear all sorts of music from around the world. So he, growing up, heard it and shared it with us growing up. So that was one big part of hearing a lot of different musics. But I also was very influenced by my two sides of my Jewish cultural identity. My dad's side, which is Iraqi, and my mom's side, which is Ashkenazi. And so from a young age, I was very much interested in Jewish music, and klezmer was the first kind of entry to that. And then later on in high school, I sort of discovered Arabic music. And I really enjoyed how that really touched something deep inside me and helped me connect with a part of my ancestry and family that has become really, really important to me.
So I know the first song is a Yiddish song, and you have this cross-cultural household. Did anybody speak Yiddish for you growing up?
No, not at all. I grew up in a Hebrew-speaking household, and then later on, I became interested in Yiddish because of its connection to klezmer music. Klezmer was just, as I grew up, what was presented to me as the only option to connect with Jewish music, and then later I discovered more opportunities and more possibilities. And Yiddish was sort of my way of connecting more deeply with klezmer music, and I studied Yiddish in college, and have continued to work on my Yiddish since sort of my connection to the Yiddish language.
Tell us about the first song.
Yes. So when I formed my band Two Shekel Swing, which in and of itself was actually a Jewish arts collaborative idea, because Joey sort of proposed the idea to me as part of one of the MFA Hanukkah events to form a jazz band that'll come and to bring that sort of klezmer jazz vibe to the event. And so the band sort of grew out of that and has now grown. It started off as a duo and now has grown, and it's now grown to a group of 4 people: bass, drums, guitar, and me. And now that song, I started writing music for that band so that I could have some original music, and I want to find some vocal music. So for that song, I was searching through a lot of poetry, and I came across this amazing poem by a poet named Kadlodovsky. And she wrote this amazing poem, which is called Ich bin a Wiederkol, and it means I am echo. And some of the lyrics, I'll just say some of them, it's a really, really fantastic and wild kind of a sound, and to the words are really, really, they transport you into a different realm. It's, I am an echo of a vanished symphony. My voice is a wonder, whether it's prayer or blasphemy. A fiddler appears and is echoing, and it goes on this way. And we're going to have the lyrics as I play it in the chat. So if you'd like to take a look at the translation from the Yiddish lyrics, you can take a look at that in the chat. So if it's okay, I'll go ahead and play this song, Ich bin a Wiederkol. Yeah. Bin a Wiederkol von a verschwundenem Orchester. Es a Wunder, mein Stimm. Sieh, es ist viele, vielester. Ich bin a Wiederkol von a verschwundenem Orchester. Es ist a Wunder, mein Stimm. Sieh, es ist viele, vielester. Es beweist sich a Fiddler. Sagt, ich bin von Nächten. Ich heb auf seine Fiddle die Finger, die Blecher. It's bald will ich spielen, dem Semmer gerechten, was man hat gespielt bei die Wend von Jericho. Sein Fiddle und sein Zies ist wo, nur ist nicht da. Dein Wiederkol zittert, ich bin da, du darfst nicht kein Wort. Es wird mein Stimm dich der Griechen, ich bin da, es nicht kein Wort, es wird mein Stimm zu die Wend von Jericho. Ich bin a Wiederkomm von einem verschwundenen Orchester. Es ist ein Wunder, mein Stimm. Es ist viele Zieleste. Ich bin wiedergekommen von einem verschwundenen Orchester. Es ist ein Wunder, mein Stimm. Es ist viele Zieleste.
Yoni, that's just wild. And I hope everybody takes a chance to look in the chat, because the poem itself is just out there. It's the last part is, I want to touch his fiddle to see if it is real, but he is not here. His voice trembles. I am here. I am here. You don't need reality. My voice will reach you. I am here. I am here. You don't need reality. Take my echo with you to the walls of Jericho. I am an echo of a vanished symphony. My voice is a wonder, whether it's prayer or blasphemy. It's such a Yiddish attitude, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah.
So let's talk about that song for a couple seconds. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'm really impressed with is there are a bunch of younger klezmer musicians, a bunch of younger musicians, I should say, who are taking old Yiddish poems and putting them to music and giving everything a whole new life. And my question to that is, where did you find the poem?
It's funny because I'm not necessarily such a poetry buff. Mm-hmm. I'm not someone who necessarily studies poetry or reads it in my own time, but I guess the necessity of needing Yiddish content that I certainly cannot come up with myself is what led me to the poetry books. And I was at Yiddish New York this past January, and it was recommended to me by one of the teachers there, this book, the Penguin Book of Modern Yiddish Verse. And basically, I just read through as much as I could in Yiddish, and then there's translations as well. And of course, obvious reasons, that poem jumped out at me as being just a perfect setting for exactly the type of song I was aching to write.
Yeah, it's great because even like the structure of the poem has so many different styles to it that it works fabulous with all of your styles. So speaking of your styles, let's move several thousand miles and a couple hundred years in time. And I know you're going to play a piyut for us, a devotional poem. And can you tell us about Ya Allah, Ya Allah?
Yeah, absolutely. So this piyut is one of the most well-known piyuts, and it's sung across different Eastern backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and there's different very famous melodies for it that some of you may know. It's a beautiful image of a beautiful deer coming into a garden, and the love for God being. There's many different melodies for it. Some of you might recognize Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Boi Legani. That's like one of the more famous ones. But the one I'm going to do is actually a more modern one. And that one was more inspired by my year in Israel when I lived there. It was now almost 3 years ago. I went with my partner for a year to Israel, and she was studying in the yeshiva, and I was kind of on my own to figure out how I was going to find musical inspiration and opportunities. And so I found an amazing community of wonderful, wonderful musicians who are obsessed with music and bringing new life to it also. And I played in an orchestra called Tizmoret Chiba, and this melody was written by a living person whose name is Eliyahu Dagmi. And he's in the same world as all the people I was playing with, and I got the pleasure of playing with him a few times as well. And this is a modern melody for that piyut that many people know and love in a different melody. Ya'ala, ya'ala, boi legani, henetz rimon parcha gafni. Ya'ala, ya'ala, boi legani, henetz rimon parcha gafni. ויאכל את פרי מגדיו. עם ידידי ערכו נדודיו, איך יחידה אשב על קני. עם ידידי ערכו נדודיו, איך יחידה אשב על קני. יעלה, יעלה, בואי לגני, הנץ רימון פרחה גפני. יעלה, יעלה, בואי לגני, הנץ רימון פרחה גפני. שובי אליי את בת אהובה, שובי ואת ואני אשובה. עם ידידי וכו נדובה, כי כתוכך אתן משכני. הנה עמי זאת עוד כתובה, כי בתוכך אתן משכני. יאללה, יאללה, בואי לגני, הנץ רימון פרחה גפני. יאללה, יאללה, בואי לגני, הנץ רימון פרחה גפני.
It's beautiful. And our time is pretty much up, but there is a couple questions. First, somebody wants to know, is that a lute?
That's a great question. This is called an oud, and that means you're pretty much right, because it's the predecessor to the lute. The lute is an instrument that was actually born in the Middle East and eventually reached Europe and Baroque music and medieval music that we imagine. But the word al-oud in Arabic is linguistically related to al-ut, lute. So they kind of sound the same, and it's the same instrument too.
Nice. And one other question, there's two other questions in the list, but one's going to take forever, so we have to avoid that. But the quicker one, can you tell us about looping?
Oh, yeah.
You looped on the first song.
Yeah, I actually tried to loop on the second song and it didn't go so well.
Okay.
But so I just played it without the loop. But the first song, the looping actually is something that I feel like a novice at, and it's actually a nice feeling to feel like I'm teaching myself a new skill and getting better at that. It feels like a totally different world that I'm still figuring out. But since coronavirus, it's been one of the many ways that musicians are staying sane to have a feeling like there can be more than one line, there can be a little bit more interest and depth in the music when there's more layers. And so having the looping possibilities and working on that occasionally during coronavirus has given one a little bit of a break from the loneliness of playing by yourself all the time.
Okay. Well, you know, I told you this was going to fly by, and it did. So before we close, let me just let everybody know the next JLive event will be this Friday, July 24th at 4 p.m., when we talk with award-winning chef Michael Leviton, who is chair of the 2020 Taste of Israel Restaurant Week. And the next JLive music will be Tuesday, August 4th at 7, when singer-songwriter Sarah Aresti shares her contemporary approach to Ladino music. And last but not least, also, you should know there should be links to Yoni's Bandcamp page. If you'd like to support him, purchase CDs or download music, you can do it there. And that link will be in the chat. And the link to JArts to donate will also be in the chat, because to make this possible, we rely on generous community support like yours. If you enjoy the JLive series, please consider donating. You'll find links to donate to JArts and to purchase Yoni music in the chat. Thank you, Yoni, and thank everyone for being here. And why don't you play a little riff and we'll close out the night.
Thank you, Joey. It's been a pleasure, and thank everyone for tuning in. And thanks for your support. I'd love to share my music with you, so check it out.